Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our Performance Academy with John Underwood. We are so excited to have some other schools joining us this morning, as well as additional staff. So welcome back and hello to new faces. These are just some of the housekeeping points to share today. So just making sure that your video is on so John can see you all and interact. And then if you could just mute unless you're speaking. We'll begin right now, and then we'll do a Q&A at the end with John at around 10:45. There is a Google survey that if I could have students fill that out, you will get entered into a drawing, and we'll talk about our next session as we get closer to the end. All right, so today's topic is all going to be on leadership and culture. This is the Google form to use to sign in for today's session. And again, every session we will enter your name in for a drawing, either for an Apple or Android watch. So keep joining us until March and April to get entered into that drawing. And again, I will put this QR code up at the end of the session as well. So we will get started with a video from Athletes Committed in Butte County, California. And I just realized I didn't click the audio, so give me just a second to reshare. Okay. And so this is just a short video that's going to highlight a little bit about leadership, culture, and character.
John Wooden once said, "Be more concerned with your character than your reputation, because your character is what you really are, while your reputation is merely what others think you are." Athlete Committed is a character-based program focused on high expectations for leadership and positive behavior. It's an honor and a privilege to play sports for your school. Having great character transforms you from being the best player on your team to the best player for your team. Being a leader of honor and integrity means that you care about how people will remember you. You want to leave a legacy of honor and integrity. Choose your circle of friends wisely. Are the people you hang out with living a life of excellence? Are they helping you become the best version of yourself possible? Are they adding greatness to your life? If not, it's time to choose a circle of great leaders as your friends. Being a leader of honor and integrity means that you approach life with a commitment to excellence. You aren't looking for shortcuts. Everything counts. Every rep, every drill, every practice. You don't give up, you don't give in, and you keep doing it until it is right. If you want to excel in your character, there are 4 essentials. Number 1 is your pack mentality. Pack mentality is defined as how one is influenced by their peers to adopt certain behaviors or follow trends. Simply put, you become like the people you choose to hang out with. Many people have a fear-based reaction to peer pressure, which turns into adaptation and compliance. If surrounded by negative influences, this pack mentality can create coercion and collusion of alcohol use within a social group. As leaders, it is your mission to fight against pack mentality and create a positive environment. Number 2 is peer accountability. Leaders are dependable. They are held accountable to their school and team. This dependability exhibits itself in many ways: school attendance, getting to practice on time, knowing your assignments, and many other ways. The fact is, coaches are reluctant to play those they can't depend on, regardless of their ability. As a leader, you are to be dependable and encourage others to do the same. Inform your coach of players who are less dependable for the good of the team's success. Number 3 is being a role model. To become a role model for your teammates, follow these guidelines. Exemplify hard work, commitment, dedication, humility, positivity, and respect. Role models are loyal, trustworthy, and unselfish. They have pride in the team, school, and their community. Role models are committed to a drug and alcohol-free life. Role models show social confidence, a strong self-image. They are motivated, mature, and have excellent communication skills. Role models are willing to follow team rules and encourage others to do the same. Role models are capable of acting as a liaison between teammates, coaches, and the athletic director. Remember, as role models, younger athletes look up to you. This means you have a responsibility to demonstrate excellence to them. They are watching and will copy you in many ways. Don't underestimate your influence over them. Do not let them down. This means no parties. Nothing good will come of them. You have no choice but to leave immediately. As a role model, make sure not to leave any of your teammates or fellow athletes behind. Hold each other accountable. Number 4, lastly, be leaders on campus. Being a leader isn't just for the athletic season. It's a year-round job. They're willing to stand out and go against the flow. Leaders are those willing to go the extra mile to create a culture shift on campus. Follow these four. You will be a leader on your campus.
All right. If I can get to the next slide. And so now today with us, we have John Underwood, who is the founder of the Life of an Athlete Human Performance Project program. And Kathy Ann from Conant High School is going to introduce her chapter. So thank you all for being a co-sponsor over at Cougar Climb.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so not sure, but hopefully you can see our group that is here. I've got the camera pointing, if everybody can see. Yes? Okay.
Kind of.
Yes, no?
Kind of. It looks like you might have like a screen protector or something blocking the camera for a second.
Oh, does that have to turn it?
There we go.
Oh, yeah. See, technology and I were just not friends, but here you go. Here's the group. Okay, so let me see if I could flip y'all around.
There you go.
Okay, so we are a chapter and we are growing each day. Basically, our club is here to really create a positive culture at Conant High School, especially within our athletic programs, and everything that we just saw in that video, I think definitely is what we're all about. We are going to look at our creeds that we have signed and take some notes on them. And as John gives us some more insight as to how to be great leaders.
Awesome. Thank you. I didn't know, I grabbed these from before. I didn't know if you wanted to reiterate any of these points about Cougar Climb.
Sure. Yeah, we do have, actually, we are up to 65 members now. And they're all incredibly balanced with a lot of AP courses, dual credit courses. We do have a heavier group of seniors, so we are encouraging our sophomores and juniors to step up. And many of them are all in when it comes to trying to improve not only their own programs, but the culture that we have within the athletics department. So this is perfect timing for us. We are headed into our spring sports season, which has how many sports, Mr. Kane? 13?
13, yep.
Okay, so we have 13 sports that are running with at least 3 levels apiece in the spring. So lots of things to cover and handle, but these guys are up for the challenge.
Excellent. All right. Well, Kathy Ann, I will pass it over to you to introduce John and get started on leadership and culture.
Yes, John, we are very excited to have you. Thank you so much. John is a fantastic expert on all areas, but we're excited to hear about your leadership and culture. And I know you're coming from Russia. So thank you for adjusting your time schedule to do this for us.
No problem. It's nighttime here, so it's no problem. Yeah, I'm actually coming home in a couple weeks here. I've been over here for half a year, so. But anyway, yeah, thanks for hosting too, Kathy Ann, and your high school. And you know, it's great. It's great when you have just the opportunity to spread the word. It's been rough the last 2 years with this virus stuff to have any special events. You know, we're doing the best we can to keep stuff going, and the benefits of it are for you kids, but it's also for parents, and the information goes deeper than just the information you kids have learned about sleep and nutrition and stress and training and recovery and all those things that we talk about. So today's sort of a different one for us, leadership and culture. And you know, as you were talking, I'm thinking, okay, you got 65 kids now in your group, and you guys got to recruit too. You know, it's like if nobody comes out for your team, you know, a lot of times people will say, hey, come on, guys, you must know some other kids who want to maybe try this or do this. And like they were saying, you know, the underlings, the sophomores and freshmen and even juniors, you got to bring them into it. And also you coaches that are listening, or any activities. This isn't just for sports. I would say to coaches, you know, if I was a coach and you were on my team or you came out from my team, I would be wondering why you wouldn't want to join something that brings out the best in you, or ensures that you're at your best, like the committed program in California, or your climb program there. It's something where I would just say to how many of you guys on my team have joined the committed program, and if that was half the people, I'd say, well, you other half, you know, you really need to get on board, because you know, it's a big part of belonging to something, is being committed to it, and we'll talk about that, and that's a big part of leadership too. That's a big part of the culture. But this slide that's up here now, this is a lot of you guys know I worked with the Navy SEALs and set up a program of how we train them. But at the same time, I was trying to grasp everything I could find on the psychological training, which was a whole nother sector. I was in the physiological side, like training recovery, a lot of the brain stuff, neural fatigue, all that kind of stuff, a lot of the stress stuff. And we've talked about that in some of these other podcasts. This is number 5. But, you know, I was in physiology, and that's actually the first day I went down there to work. I was a lot younger too. But you know, that was something that I didn't just go there and say, I'm just going to handle my stuff. I was trying to pick up on everything, because I'm dealing with all these teams, and you know, I'm dealing with Alabama football and UConn basketball and all these fantastic programs. I don't want to just go in there and spill some stuff on training and recovery and nutrition and sleep. If I can put it all together and have some slant to it, a lot of the slant's going to come from the more people you get on the right page and keep them there, everybody's chances go up. So I'll just say that to start. And if you go to the next slide, that's the laboratory. There's only a couple pictures that even exist of that lab. You don't just walk onto the SEAL base and, you know, walk around. You know, it's all classified project. And these guys are pretty amazing, but so is the program we developed for them. And that's one of the operators taking a test on the treadmill, and that was my sector, physiology. But I actually learned a lot about like why these guys are so special. If you go to the next slide, and I mean, you guys can read, so I don't have to read them to you, but like, what if you cared so much about what you signed up to do that you would demand one total standard from everybody in the group? And that's what we're talking about with commitment, that everybody's on the same page. Everybody gives their best every day, all the time. And you don't accept anything less. I mean, that's a big challenge. That's a big challenge for you on a daily basis yourselves. I mean, whether it's the classroom or any activity or sports or anything you do, the things you put the most time, effort, and energy into are the things that you should really tune in on the commitment to, because you know, it deems it necessary. And so a big part of our message in leadership is a lot different than a lot of leadership programs. It's not candy coated. And I had that attitude long before I went down to work with Naval Special Warfare, the SEALs. You know, accept what you sign up for. That's your part of the deal. And if you go to the next slide, there's one of that's just a snippet out of the Navy SEAL Creed. If you haven't ever read it, go online and just type in Navy SEAL Creed and read the whole thing. It's pretty long, but it was developed since the Vietnam Wars, when the SEALs began. Naval Special Warfare, 2 groups, East and West Coast SEALs, and they got a whole bunch of guys together and they wrote this Navy SEAL Creed. And it's, when you read it, at least when I read it the first time, I just was sitting there, and the hair was standing up on the back of my neck. It was something I just felt like, wow, boy, wouldn't it be neat if every group had that? Every business, every family, every school, every community, every group of people that signed up to do something together had something like this, and that they actually had it as a standard of how they live their life. If you look down the bottom on that slide, it says if you join a social order, you're held to the standards of the social order. If you can't live up to those standards, you don't belong. And that's not to be mean. Actually, if you want what the awesome stuff that comes out of being with a group of people to achieve something, that's what you got to give. And if you allow people to do it their own way, or to bilk out on it and maybe not come through on like half the standards, you're not going to get what you want, believe me. And sooner or later, it all comes crashing down. If you go to the next slide, the basis of this slide, this is actually one of the 2 Navy SEALs that we have do trainings. I'm sure they've been to some of your schools. Jason and Anthony, great guys. They're out of the SEAL teams now, but that's the order: team, teammate, self. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but optimum success and performance in a group depends on everybody in the group. It doesn't matter if you're, third and fourth string and you rarely get in the game or not. You're part of the group, you're part of the team. And, if people learn to train together and to be together and to care together, your performance goes up, your chances go up. And individual responsibility of everybody in your group is what actually makes collective responsibility. Everybody's got to buy in, and there's no deals. Once you join the group, that's the deal. There's no more deals. So think about that. Maybe it sounds a little hardcore, but if I was your coach tomorrow, God forbid for you, I would be asking for a commitment, a total commitment. I would come there every day and give you everything I got, and I would expect the same thing from you. That's it. I would want you to have such an amazing experience that you'll never forget it, whether you win, lose, or you're a state champ, or you never go to state. All right, so that's one thing. Go to the next slide. That's actually the shirt where the kids out in Chico, California, this Butte County, California, that made that video you saw to start this thing. They took the Navy SEAL creed, they pulled out parts, and they made a program called Athlete Committed. And they have, committed program, but I've seen schools that have student committed, athlete committed, dancer committed, artist committed, you name it, and parent committed. And across the board, the whole community has this commitment that we're going to do this thing and we're going to offer this stuff, but we're only going to do it one way, the best way possible. And there's going to be standards that everybody buys into in order to do it. And yeah, you're going to have some people drift, but for the most part, people start to learn that, this is awesome when everybody's doing it the right way, and you feel better about it, and you have better chances of success and certainly a healthier life for sure. Next slide is for you coaches listening. And if not, if you're just an athletic director or an administrator listening, this is your venue, you activities directors and you activity leaders, youth venue leaders. I had one town, they started the an athlete committed program in the high school. Then they decided, hey, why are we doing this just with athletes? Let's do it with everybody. And then the people in prevention had such success with it that this was in Rensselaer County, New York, near the Capital District. They said, let's do it for all community venues for kids, karate, dance, music, art, you name it. So anyway, they just framed it down to all different levels. And, the coach's message, or the person leading the activity, the adult in charge, and this goes all the way up to teachers and parents and everybody. Your message is the most important. I know there's lots of teachers that they expect a commitment in the classroom. All right. And then that's, you got to drive the deal home with your students. Some will show up and try, some won't. Some have to be motivated. Some have tons of motivation. It's potpourri, but you've got to have a message, and you have to address these things or they don't get addressed. Next slide. This is actually, and Kara went out with me to California when Athlete Committed was having their summer conference, about 500 kids. And we bring in all these school districts from Sacramento and Modesto and all these different big cities. And kids were chosen to go to it and stay overnight for a couple nights there. And we have, it's just unbelievable training for leadership. And so the kids write a personal creed, their own personal creed, besides the creed that maybe is on the shirt or that you kids agree to in your club or your teams. And This school even made the kids read them to the coach. The coach said, tell me why you want to be on my team. Tell me what this means to you to be on my team. And if somebody wrote some half-baked, lame thing that they just did 5 minutes before they went in to talk to the coach would say, that's not good enough, go do it over. And their coaches are all on this page, which is the neat thing, is that they've bought into, we're not going to skip over stuff that's important. If you have a team and you don't talk about leadership, you don't talk about, having a conduit to your team through leadership, what do you think is going to happen? There's going to be a whole bunch of misinformation. You're going to have people drifting. You're going to have people doing their thing. And so it's pretty cool when a kid comes and tells you genuinely and just, reads to you this why they want to be with you, why they want to be part of this thing that you're in charge of. And man, I'll tell you, that is one powerful thing. They had so many kids from this one school that they said, why don't you go read some to John? So the kid was probably nervous or something, but he came and was reading me his I actually remember this kid. What he wrote was fantastic. And I'm thinking, wow, if you came to be on my team and read me that, I'd want you to be a leader. So that's it. Go to the next slide. Also, you coaches have to realize we've put these things in our codes of conduct. You guys all sign a code to be on a club or a team, or you have school codes and they reflect your activities codes. There are 7 non-negotiables, and we wrote a model code of conduct. It's been presented at National Department of Ed and State Department of Eds, and I have a version for the NCAA, and they've looked at it and they've all taken bits and pieces out of it. And for me, that's not the fun part, because it's like a legal document almost, even though it's not law. But 7 non-negotiables: academics, out of character behaviors. That could be any messed up behavior. Criminal acts, you got to put it in. People can break laws at a young age. Possession and date rape and assault and possession and all kinds of stuff that people can get into. Hazing, groups of people, you're going to have people abusing certain sectors or young people coming into the group, and we all know how that works. In some ways, everybody's certainly been bullied. Cyber stuff, like stuff people put up on the internet. If you look at some of the stuff people put up, it's a reflection on all of us: community, school, parents, family, everybody. And drugs and performance enhancing drugs, both. There's 2 kinds. You got to talk about both. And then coaches need and adults need to personalize the message, strong message. You cross these lines, we give people chances to redeem themselves. All our programs are based on, kids make mistakes. We know that. We did too. But you don't kick people out or off. That's not helping kids. You give people some kind of a way to earn their way back. And that's important too. If you go to the next slide, I found that, coaches were like, well, what do I say to my team about this? Well, you can't just say, hey guys, don't do anything messed up. That's way too general. Or, hey guys, no partying. That's not it. You got to ask them for a commitment. So I had a coach that actually, it was in New York State. He said, I'm asking you right now, stand up. First day of practice, I'm stand up if you're willing to make total commitment to my program and not smoke weed and drink alcohol and be part of that culture. And if you can't make that commitment, I don't have a place for you on this team. I was there going like, oh my God, can you imagine if we had, 13 coaches or 15 coaches, or some schools I've been to probably have 25, 30 sport teams. What if everybody was saying that to their teams? If you don't ask for the commitment, are you going to get it? You might get it from the kids who are serious or who aren't caught up in it, but we know how early it starts, and it starts young. It starts in middle school, and by high school, the numbers only go up and up each year of high school. So anyway, that's my slides for coaches. Here's the next one. Total solidarity. So this isn't just the kids. If I have leadership training, I might have some admin there. I'm going to have some coaches there. I'm going to have some whoever does the prevention in the school district's going to be there, because kids mess up. You got to walk them through a process for change, or it's not going to change. They're not just going to sit out for 2 games and get back in a uniform. Not in a program that's going to make positive changes for kids. So you got to have a process. It's all got to be in your code of conduct. How do you get back in a uniform if you mess up? And that's everything from out of character behaviors. You do something messed up, it's a reflection on your community. You got to atone for it and make some concessions and be sincere about it too. So anyway, all staff, stakeholders got to be on the same page. Many messengers with the same message. That comes from prevention. I mean, if you get mixed messages from people, well, one season you got a coach who's like, hey, you're not going to do this and be in my program. The next season you got a guy who says, hey guys, just don't get caught or don't get in trouble. Don't think I haven't heard those stories. So I'll give you a story right now. This high school that we work with out there, I've been working with Butte County, California. Fantastic, 2 high schools, Chico High School and Pleasant Valley High School. And anyway, they've had a success story, unbelievable as far as winning stuff since they started this program. It's been going now for, I think we're in our 12th year. So I've been going out there for more than a decade. They got a football coach they brought in, and they hadn't really had a lot of great success in football. Anyway, they ended up winning a couple state championships in California. I don't know if you guys know, but state of California's got over 1,000 high schools. So when you win a state championship in California, I mean, that's seriously competitive, and it's a very high level state for sport. So anyway, they got this coach, Mark Cooley. And so anyway, he was getting feedback that like parents of his players on his team were letting kids party. They were actually hosting parties for kids. And it was their preseason meeting. Everyone's required to be there. All those parents, including the ones, they're in the auditorium. So I'm saying, don't you realize how this ruins your chances? And I'm doing my dog and pony show up there. And I'm like showing them stuff on how it wrecks recovery and training effect, and, all the systems in your body and brain that are affected. And, so I get done and Mark just walks out on the stage and he goes, I came here to change this program and to help. I've put everything into it. He said, and I've heard from the people in our prevention programs that we have information that the people are hosting parties and letting kids on my team be involved in this stuff. He said, if I find out who you are, he said, I will call the police myself. And I'm thinking to myself, those people are out in the audience. And this guy is saying this publicly to them. And I'll tell you, that was like when everybody started to realize that, like, this isn't going to float. And if you look down on that slide, you see it says, be a parent. That's my only thing I ever copyrighted besides our names for the organization. Be a parent, be an adult that says, this isn't good for kids. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna float. You can't just say, oh yeah, those people are messed up. They allow this for kids. That's against the law. And Mark was willing to challenge it. And they ended up winning back-to-back state California football championships. And boy, is he a coach. This next slide, train your leaders, slide number 13, it should be. This is like what we do on a leadership training day. And, on that day, I mean, people arrive and it's serious talks. It's serious discussions. It's trying to get stuff straight so that you understand that you got to do the same thing with the people in your group or on your team. And you got to be trained, what's expected of you and so forth. So if you read down through the intro to leadership and what makes a team leader and styles of leadership, and, there's positives and negatives and so forth and so on. I get a lot of people that are going like, can't we do something fun and the kids can play a game? I'm like, this is serious stuff. I'm going to come there and I'm going to try to impart to you kids that if you will buy into having this culture, establishing this culture, and you got to do it yourselves, that you can have something really special that you want to belong to. I think your generation, you kids, your generation is not a generation that's easily fooled. You want to belong to something special. You don't want to belong to something that's I'll say it, that's crap. And I think if you look at your generation, I mean, if something's special, kids flock to it. I've said the same thing. If nobody comes out for an activity or sport, I'll say, okay, I hate to say this, but like, okay, why is that? Why don't they want to be part of this? Because I know schools where there's 100 kids out for this. And And usually you just realize that people go like, it's nothing special about it. So, the person makes the program in a lot of respects. And, if something's not right in your program, you'll start seeing your numbers drop too. Okay, what makes a leader on the next slide, number 14 slide? That's basically just an example. This was from Stanislaus County, Modesto, California. They got a leadership guide. If you want them, just contact Kara and I'll give it to Kara. She's probably already has them. So you've got like a manual you can hand out. And you guys really should do a once a year leadership training. Do it to start the school year off. Pick your leaders for the whole year in the fall. Then you only have to do one leadership training. You don't want to do this seasonally and do it 3 times. Fall school starts, or even just before school starts, pick all your leaders for, winter sports, spring sports, activities, everything. Get them all there and have a bang up, awesome leadership training. And, we've got a template for doing it. It's neat. And then start the school year by having this is another school district right here that you're looking at on the next slide, number 15. This is Houston High School outside Modesto. It's a rural school. They do it, as good as anybody. Fantastic, group of adults and coaches and people that work with the kids there. And they just do it awesome. Their kids step up. Their kids don't allow stuff that's not right. They know how to challenge people, and they know when to even go to an adult authority if people don't want to make changes that they're going to have to make in order to be part of it. So these guys have every year freshman orientation day for leadership, and it's the whole freshman class. And we've been out to that many, many times, and it's head and heels above anything. So there's 2 things. I say yearly events are awesome. Have a yearly leadership training, put it on the books, and every year it happens like clockwork. Have a freshman day where the freshman class who's coming into the high school is going to see all the good, bad, and ugly stuff, is going to just go, okay, guys, you're in the big school. Here's what can happen. I've had schools that said, okay, that worked so good having this freshman transition day. Let's have one for the kids going into middle school from 6th grade into 7th grade, because they're going to see some stuff that they didn't see down in the little school. So next, what's expected of you? Just give you some ideas on this. This is from Stanislaus County. A lot of school districts said, okay, shouldn't leaders be held to a higher standard? I don't know how you feel about it. I've watched just about every aspect of society. And I've seen business leaders that could care less about their employees as long as they're skimming off the profits. I've seen politicians, don't even get me started there. I'm not talking about one party or the other. I'm just talking, the dysfunction of our entire political system as a result of people who aren't there for the right reasons and aren't getting the job done for the people that they represent. And you kids are going to be dealing with this, in a couple of years when you're adults. Many of you are coming into voting age now. You're going to see it. Where's the leaders? Why are they not held to a higher standard? And then what skills do they have to be a leader? And the biggest part of leadership skills that there is, realistically, is communication skills. Poor communicators have a real tough time with leadership. Go to the next slide. This is one of our first success stories in this heading for 25 years of work. Cody High School in Cody, Wyoming. Remember that actually this year when this was the example this year, they won 6 state championships in 6 different sports in a calendar year, one high school. I'm thinking usually if you have a state championship team, maybe it comes along once every, 10 years, maybe not even once every 20, 30 years. This school had 6 state championship teams in 6 different sports in one calendar year. Well, anyway, the coaches and the kids and the parents, they get together and they say, okay, what are the expectations we're going to share with this season? You could do this with anything. You could do it with the classroom. You could do it with music, art, dance, the play, any activity where you say, look, we all got to be on the same page. There's going to be some disappointed people sometime during the year or at the end of the year. And so there's the expectations that they came up with. And the most powerful one, in my opinion, is the expectations kids have of their parents. If you want to look on the right-hand side, I love some of the ones that said, no reliving your glory days. Don't single kids out for playing poorly. It's like, don't negative talk about players on the team. I mean, come on, this is good stuff. But if you all share the same expectations, you start to realize that, okay, now we really are a team, or we really are a program. So, a lot of it has to do with establishing a social order. When you get groups of people together, on the next slide, 18, you get people together, you better have an established social order, because if you have a social disorder, there's going to be all kinds of things that come back to bite you and come back to haunt you. I'm sure there are some administrators listening. I'm sure there's some athletic directors. Monday's the worst day for any of them, where you come in after the weekend and you find out, this happened or that happened, or, a whole bunch of kids were doing this weekend and got caught at a party, or and now we've got to suspend people from teams, and we're going to lose games. And that's not the important part. The important part is that people didn't feel that they were held to the standard, and they went and did their own thing, and it hurts the whole group. So that's important. And another big part of it is that kids have to know when there's a point in time where this is out of their hands and they need to go to an adult authority, and that is a trust issue. And we discuss this with kids, that look, you can't handle this and you can't fix this. And even without giving names or feeling like, whatever you want to call it, a snitch, or, there's a million names for it. There's some things that if you care enough about what you're doing, you need to go and tell an adult so that they can deal with us, because there's some things that we need to deal with. And last but not least is your word. Where is your word? Nowadays, people sign things. You all signed a code of conduct, and how many kids actually are held to it? How many kids break it? How many kids violate those standards? And how many people make promises and don't keep them? There's a lot. So here's the next slide, number 19. Mitchell High School, a small rural high school, in our Life of an Athlete program out in we have Nebraska Human Performance Project. Great lady out there, Lynette Richards, has worked endlessly all over the state of Nebraska to push our program to so many communities. We've been out there a zillion times too. These group of girls went up and up and up once we started this program, and their program, they actually made these shirts. It was their idea. Said I play for her. That's the starting point where you look at teammate self concept from the Navy SEALs. The team comes first, your teammates come second, and you come at the back of the line. It has to work that way, and it has to be driven into the culture. So those are pretty neat shirts. I always kept that slide, and I always put it in programs for having the identity to create this culture. Next, if you look at criteria, I don't know if you guys know it, but captaincy, like a captain of a team, right there's something wrong. The name captain you guys probably don't know this, but West Point, U.S. Military Academy at West Point, which is down on the Hudson in my home state, New York. They usually actually back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, they had some of the best sport teams because they had, so many disciplined players and, the military environment and so forth. And so anyway, they had this thing where the leader of a team is called the captain. Well, how about team leader, right? A team leader actually is a better name than captain. We're not, most of us aren't in a military situation. But anyway, team leader, there's got to be some criteria. We got to know, like, okay, is it you just think that this guy's a good kid and he's a good leader, or does this person actually have some capabilities or some potential to be a good leader? So we designed a evaluation. You can have the evaluation, and you can have the kids, you can have them all fill it out, and you can see who probably has some possibilities to be, become a leader. And it's mostly what it's been left up to in the past is a popularity contest. And it's usually a top player and somebody who's very socially popular. That could be a gigantic disaster. As a matter of fact, in New York State, when we were running this program as early as 1999, we did some surveys, and besides the coaches surveys where have you ever had to dismiss a team leader for alcohol or drug violation, and we had a survey question for kids: are there team leaders on your team who use drugs during the sports season? And we had at some schools as high as 49% said yes. So I mean, flip a coin for like, I got kids that are leaders of teams that are partying. That's great. We'll see how far that program goes. So anyway, go to the next slide. It's slide 21. Leadership evaluation process. We realized there had to be some kind of a criteria and areas to look at. So we went with competency, character, civility, citizenship, and chemical health. So I mean, those are 5 areas where you got to be rock solid in all 5. Yeah, you can be stronger in some than others, but if you have these criteria and we ask you specific questions about you, and you come back with I'm good there. You evaluate yourself, and if you don't reach a certain score, we don't tell you, you'll never be a leader. We tell you, right now you're not in a situation where you probably could, you guys realize there's job descriptions. You're going to have to go through a job description the rest of your life for jobs. Well, this should be like a job description, and you should have to go through some evaluation and criteria in order to become a team leader. And you should know what comes with a job. If you go to the last slide, it's number 22. You guys need to realize, because I don't think all kids do, what are the red flags of behaviors of concern that can ruin your team, ruin your chances, ruin lives, get people hurt, get people killed, get people in a situation that they'll never outlive the rest of their lives because they did one messed up thing that they can't ever come back from. And I'm talking like, a bad decision that you make at a young age, and no matter what happens, this thing's going to follow you the rest of your life. That happens, guys. That's reality of life. And it's a sad reality of life, but it's as real as it gets. We lost 2 kids in my high school, my 4 years of high school, in deaths. And, I think, I can actually, right now I can see their faces, and I think to myself that there were 2 kids that didn't have to die young, but they did, because they made a bad choice, and both were, one was a drowning and one was an auto fatality. So teammate intervention. You guys have to realize how to help people, and this is something that has to be taught. All of us in prevention. I knew nothing about prevention when I started this job. Even people who are with kids, some of them don't know enough about it. We need to do workshops. How do you positively address a behavior of concern with a young person, rather than I know you're doing this stuff, I'm kicking you out of my program. Come on, we're here to help you kids. We're here to help you learn how to live your life in a good way. So teammate intervention. There was a process called behavior of concern process that came out of Hazleton, which is in Minnesota. It's a rehab center for drugs and so forth, but they also did a ton of great prevention work. And if you look over on that slide over there, you'll see where it says, I see, I actually can't see it on my slide because it's too, it's got to be blown up here so I can read it. But anyway, it's called the behavior of concern process. I care about you as a young person. I see this. You got to be specific, and not judgmental. I feel, you got to tell them how you feel. If one of you kids on my team was, playing great in the beginning of the season, all of a sudden you're playing terrible, you're not starting anymore, you lost interest, you're not motivated, you just don't care. I'd say I feel bad for you that you're not out there. That everything was going great. I don't know what's going on. I feel like there must be something wrong. What's going on? Is everything okay at home and so forth? Or are you doing something you shouldn't be doing? Because, you're not making the improvements or whatever. And then after that, you have to listen. You have to be a good listener too, and let them respond out of fairness. And maybe they will, and maybe they won't, but you got to give them the chance and tell them that you care about them to start. And I care about every athlete I ever coached. And then you have to already have in your mind a plan of what you're going to tell them that you want them to do. And that may involve other people and resources, and it might involve parents, and it might involve prevention people, and it might involve counseling and everything else. We had this huge talk recently on these podcasts about mental wellness. Where is that? It's like we can't wait for people to have mental wellness and mental health issues. We have to try as best we can to do what we can to prevent those things. And then last but not least, you tell them that what you will do, what your part in this is. And so anyway, we do staff workshops. We do, people in youth venues. If we come to community, lots of times we go to the community and we say, look, let's not just talk to the kids when we're here. Let's shake the trees. So anyway, that's it. Guess we're going to question and answer. I always fill up the time real fast, but
You did great, John. Thank you.
After 42 years, I got lots to tell you. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we jump into Q&A, I just wanted to remind you of a couple of resources on our website. We have a whole section on leadership. We have a kind of a quiz. You can kind of go through the 5 C's of leadership that John had mentioned. We have that entire student leadership manual that kind of goes through, again, some quizzes, the different styles, how to have those difficult conversations. So go ahead and take a look at those if you haven't utilized those yet. Those are some great resources. And of course, we're always open to hearing ideas of how we can grow our leadership section on our site too. So if you feel like there's something missing, we'd love to hear from you guys. And so I want to turn it over to you all on the call and see if you have any questions for John. Also, as a surprise, Jason is here. I don't know if he can respond to any questions as well, but we do have Jason, who is the veteran Navy SEAL that John has been referencing throughout this call. So, Jason unmuted. Hi, Jason.
Hey, guys. Hey, Johnny.
Hey.
Looking
so good
good
to hear from you.
Thanks.
It's good to hear your voice, Johnny.
You too.
Perfect. So yeah, this is a very special opportunity. So now you can ask both John and Jason questions about leadership and culture. So go ahead and either unmute yourselves or you can throw them in the chat and I will monitor that and see what we get.
Be a leader. Ask a question.
You're unmuted. Sorry, go ahead.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep, I can hear you.
Jason, it's Kip North from Buffalo Grove. It's so awesome that you've joined us. Thank you for being here. This is great.
Hey, Kip.
We do that as our
and John, thank you again. These segments have been terrific. Jason, I'm just gonna, to have an opportunity to have our kids interact with you right now is really special. So I want to just give you an opportunity, if you're willing, to add anything that you might to some of what John has already said. Your experiences in the Navy SEALs, your experience with applied performance sciences. What else about culture and leadership do these students need to know?
Yeah, I mean, I think John's got it exactly right. I don't think I could have said it any better than he did. I think, when we go around and talk to groups, one of the big questions we always get is like, what is it that makes the SEAL team special or makes us different from all the other groups that are out there doing the same kind of things that we're supposed to do? And it's really, at first I wasn't really sure how to answer, because we just kind of think we're better, and we just sort of take that for granted. But it's really not that we can, we're better at shooting or jumping out of airplanes, or everyone's pretty good at that stuff. It really comes down to the culture. And I think the thing that strikes me about the SEAL team culture that I miss the most is it's the only time I've been a part of a group where every single person wakes up every morning to be the best human being they can be for the people around them. And that's really what drives the culture, I think. Like if you had to boil it down to one sentence, I think that's what it is. Like, you know, that all the other 15 guys in your platoon are all showing up to work that day to be not just like the best SEAL or the best operator, and not just the best, you know, on the range that day or whatever it is. They want to be the best man they can be for you, whether that's at home on deployment, you know, for your family when you're on deployment. It's that's the kind of culture we have, and you know, all the stuff John said about teammate self, that's really where it starts.
Thanks, Jason.
Okay.
Kathy,
Sarah,
any
can
question?
Yeah, can you see us still, or did I start the camera
I
again?
see your chair.
Oh, well, here we go. Here's my kiss. Okay.
There we go.
Anybody have any questions? I know the question as a sponsor would be, we've got a lot of ideas. We know things we want to do, pulling together, but the question that keeps coming up is, how can we really get the word out? We have 65 kids that are dedicated. Where do you start?
You know,
to really
I think you
invested.
had I would like to take first chance at that. You guys had one of the greatest examples right down the road. Barrington started this program with 7 kids, and they were all seniors. They came to Lake Placid. On the way home, they discussed how they were going to recruit people and draw them into this thing. And I think I used to have the numbers, but it went something like, they went home, the 7 kids, and by the time Mike came there a month later in the fall, they had 87 seniors. That's not much different. You said you have 65 or whatever. And then they went and recruited more people, and this thing just started to go exponential. And it got to a point where it went up to 400, and then it went up to over 1,000. And I'm not making this thing up. You can ask, Dr. Brenda Nelson, who actually was involved in starting it. She's the one who brought the kids there to Lake Placid, and you know, that program Broncos Committed has survived, and it's still going now. I mean, like, it's around the metro there, the schools that have started it, you know, they're the ones that are like often asked to like tell you guys, you know, ideas and so forth. So a lot of it's sharing of ideas and recruiting. And you know, I mean, like if an older athlete, like a senior, goes and tells a freshman, hey man, you need to come to this thing this weekend. They have, like I saw this week, Donnell Campbell's program out in California. They have, the school provides pizza, and they meet in a classroom, and they indoctrinate people. They bring people into the fold. And I think that's the thing is, you know, you say, okay, you're a freshman, you want to really shine by the time you're a senior, here's how it happens. And, you know, the dissemination of information, this isn't just about, hey, you got to live, you know, this by these rules. You're starting to piece together how important these different lifestyle choices are. And the Barrington kids originally, this is what was the best part. I know I'm still in touch with a couple of those kids from that original group, and this is years ago. They said, it's not a club, it's a lifestyle. I mean, and that hits the nail on the head right there. You decide to live a lifestyle that's going to be conducive to being healthier, happier, more successful in every aspect of your life. And this isn't, I'm not selling it. The thing sells itself. Jason, what would you add to that?
Yeah, I think, I mean, one sort of practical thing that we've seen work is like when the students put on events. So they'll do them as fundraisers, and maybe it's like a dodgeball tournament or movie night or something like that. And it brings, so it gives other students a reason to show up and learn about the program. So that sort of helps raise some awareness. And then I think ultimately, you know, like John said, the proof is in the pudding with this thing. So when you see that core group of students who are involved from the beginning, when you see the success that comes, as you know, when people start to follow all these protocols, things like, championships and personal records and stuff like that. They come as a byproduct. And when people start to see that, and they can associate that success with sort of this lifestyle, then that attracts other people who care about being better.
Yeah, and I think
And
one
also
little
free food helps too.
yeah, free food. I think one other little thing that I would just add to that is also just consistency. I think that's something that I've learned along the way of recruitment, is that you can't just put it out there once and expect 100 people to come. So you need to be consistent with your message and put it out there on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. And that will really kind of continue to gain momentum of, wow, I've heard this now 6 times. This is something I really maybe should look at and be a part of. So that would be my one tip, would be consistency.
Yeah, and like I said, yearly events are huge because it becomes something every year that you just look forward to. And Jason and Anthony have been out to Houston High School for that freshman, transition day, and it's
Yeah,
so
we were just there
incredible.
like 2 weeks ago. We were just there 2 weeks ago for it.
Yeah, it's electric, and the kids are into it, and they're like, this is our thing. We're 9th graders, and this is the start of our high school thing, and you have all these people come there and just tell them, here's all the awesome stuff that you guys are going to do, and here's how you're going to do it, and just try to get it straight for everybody. It's a lot of it's just, you guys remember when you were freshmen, you got all this, you have anxiety. You're in the big school, you see the older kids, you don't know everybody, you don't know how it works, and it's just a fantastic thing. And like I say, if you should have a leadership training every year on a certain date or in a certain time, and it's like clockwork. And then these things really start to become part of the fabric of this culture. Like Jason, that's the SEALs. The biggest thing about the SEAL teams is culture. If you don't have a culture, you're reinventing something every time the seniors leave and you have a great group of kids go through, and okay, well then just wait for another 20 years for another awesome group to go through, or have a culture, and this thing just keeps renewing itself. And that's what they have in these programs.
Yeah, one last quick question.
I was just wondering how we change that kind of culture from like a culture that like just doesn't really care to like a very passionate culture.
It's a great question.
Lots of hard work.
Well, I'll go
right.
as short as I can. I'll try to say, it's like everybody has choices they have to make. You guys have already made them, or you're making them. Some people make them and decide this isn't for me and so forth, but you base a lot of those choices on what other people are doing. And the most important one is who you're hanging with. It's like if I'm a coach and I see, a kid who maybe I have some ideas is into some things that aren't good. I try to help the kid with my own behavior of concern issues with him. But if I see other kids hanging in the same group, I'm gonna take those kids that I see that are up for grabs, especially underclass kids, and I'm gonna put them with good people. I'm gonna say, hey, you're gonna hang with these people. And Jason and Anthony brought us this thing called sociogramming, where you can actually find out who's caught up in what. And once you do, you can actually start separating it out so that the bad stuff starts to dissipate and the good stuff starts to grow. Jason, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I think that question that's sort of the $1 million question, right? That's like what the crux of what we're trying to do with this whole thing is change the cultures. And I think that the answer is that it's hard, and it starts with you and the thing that you have to realize. And that the student that asked that question, just from the fact that you asked it in the way you asked it, I can tell that you're a leader, and my guess is that you have influence over people. And so that, all of you students sitting in the room listening now have an outsized influence on your peers. We always ask like high school students, who do you think has the most influence over high school students in America? And it's not celebrities, it's not John, it's not me, it's other high school students. And so I think just by, it's the fact is, it's got to start somewhere, and it's a hard road. It starts with just walking the walk and showing other people that it works, and that it's actually cool to do these things and have success by doing them, and by doing that, you attract other people.
And also to confront stuff that's not right. I mean, like, that's the hardest part is and building the culture so that it swings to people realizing that this isn't going to be part of what we're doing. You seniors, I mean, on a team, do you think that a freshman on a team is going to like call the shots? It's your seniors. You have the most vested interest in the program. You've been there the longest. This is your time. You're a senior. This is your year. And, to imagine that you could go into your senior year and have, say, half the seniors party and half the seniors don't, and you think you're going to have a good year. You're not going to have the year you could have if you had everybody on the right page. So there's got to be some level of discussion, and there's got to be some commonality in how you feel. Is this going to be part of our program, or isn't it? And if the negative things are just going to be accepted, then sooner or later it's not going to come out in your favor. And that's what you have to make some people try to realize, is that, look, why don't we just give this up? These programs that we've told you about, these Cody and Chico and all these programs, they had all that stuff when they started. Once people started to realize that, no, this isn't going to be part of it anymore, that was also something that the coaches had to accept. And there were coaches that were totally up for it, and there were coaches that were like, I don't know if I want to deal with that. I remember one coach saying, I'm paid to win games. That's all. I'm not paid to follow the kids around and see what they're doing in their spare time. I'm like, then maybe you should turn in your kid card. I mean, I didn't say it to him to be mean. I just was thinking to myself, that's not the kind of coach I would want with one of my kids. And I had 5 kids. So.
Right. Well, I'd hate to cut us off short, but we are here at our time. And so you'll see on my slide here our thank you. If you have not signed in, that is the QR code to sign in. If you need the link, I can also send that as well. Just a couple notes before we hop off. We have a new podcast episode that just came out on Monday, and it's actually with some of our fellow ILHPP student leaders. So go ahead and take a listen. Chapter advisors, I encourage you to listen to, as there's a sweet little message in there about your influence on those student leaders as well. Our next session with John is going to be on Monday, March 7th at 10 o'clock in the morning. We're going to be talking all about chemical health, and thank you to Elevate for hosting that call coming up in March. Last big announcement is our ILHPP Summer Conference. You guys have all been excited and been hearing about that. So we are moving forward with it. It is June 6th through the 8th at Illinois Wesleyan University. I'm going to sign the contract this week, so we are ready. We have already started to commit some speakers. Our very own Kathy Ann Smith is going to be speaking. Jason's also going to be speaking. So APS is coming. We're meeting with him tomorrow to work through the details. And John and I are meeting after this call to talk about John coming as well. So we have got some awesome knowledge that's coming to you this training in the summer. So we hope you all can make it, and we'll continue to put out details as it gets closer. So thank you all for joining, and we will see you next month.